Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are diving into one of the most critical, high-yield topics for your CUET biology exam, the classical theories of evolution. If you want to absolutely lock in those marks, you're going to want to stick with me right to the very end. Okay, let's get into it. So let's start with a classic puzzle, something you've probably wondered about. Giraffes, right? How in the world did they get those incredibly long necks? Was it because generation after generation, they kept stretching and stretching to reach those high-up leaves and then passed that stretch down to their kids? Or was it more of a tough competition where only the giraffes that were just born with slightly longer necks had an advantage, survived, and got to pass on their genes? This isn't just a random question. This is the very heart of the debate we're going to settle today. Now, why are we focusing so hard on this? Simple. CUET examiners love this topic. Looking at past exams, you can bet you'll see questions asking you to directly compare the main theories. You'll also find straightforward definition questions. And for those of you aiming for the top percentile, you'll definitely see those tricky assertion reason questions. So nailing this topic is like getting a key to unlock multiple types of questions. All right, let's meet our first contender in this clash of ideas, Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. Now, he was one of the first scientists to really propose a full-blown theory of evolution. And while his ideas are, well, mostly rejected now, they were a huge step. His theory is all built around a pretty intuitive idea, the idea of use and inheritance. So what exactly is Lamarckism? In a nutshell, it's the idea that any traits an organism picks up or acquires during its life can be passed directly to its kids. So think of it this way. If you spend your life at the gym and get really muscular, Lamarck's theory would suggest that your children would actually be born with a natural head start on being muscular. It's all about inheriting the results of your hard work. Lamarck's whole theory really rests on two main pillars. First up is the principle of use and disuse. It's pretty much what it sounds like. If an organ is used a lot, it gets stronger and more developed. If it's not used, it weakens and shrinks. The second part, and this is the controversial bit, is the inheritance of acquired characters. He argued that these changes, the ones you get from use or disuse, are then passed down. So, back to our giraffe, Lamarck would say the ancestor stretched its neck, that neck got a tiny bit longer, and it passed that slightly longer neck to its baby. See the pattern? And now, let's bring in the heavyweight champion of evolutionary theory, Charles Darwin. His idea was a total game changer. It wasn't about organisms trying to change. It was about the simple, powerful force that he called natural selection. Darwin dropped this bombshell of a theory back in 1859 in his legendary book On the Origin of Species. I mean, this book completely shook up science. The core of Darwinism is really built on two fundamental concepts. First, that there's natural variation in any group of organisms, and second, that a process called natural selection acts on that variation. We can break Darwin's powerful argument down into 5 key points. 1. Overproduction. Pretty much all organisms make more babies than can possibly survive. 2. Variation. Look around. No two individuals are exactly alike. There are always slight differences. 3. Struggle for existence. Because there are too many offspring and not enough resources, life is a constant competition. 4. Survival of the fittest. The individuals who have variations that are best suited to their environment are more likely to win that struggle and reproduce. And finally, 5. Natural selection. Over long periods of time, these helpful variations build up in the population, and that's what leads to the creation of new species. Now for a quick little bit of trivia that could actually save you a mark on the exam. That famous phrase, survival of the fittest? Well, Darwin didn't actually come up with it. He borrowed it from a philosopher named Herbert Spencer. Darwin just thought it was a fantastic way to summarize his idea of natural selection, so he added it to later editions of his book. Okay, everyone, I need you to lean in and listen very carefully. This is, without a doubt, the biggest trap CUET can set for you on this topic. When we say fittest, it does not mean strongest or fastest or smartest. In evolution, fitness has only one meaning: reproductive success. An organism is fit if it makes lots of babies that survive to make their own babies. That's it. A super strong lion that never reproduces is an evolutionary failure. Please remember, fitness equals reproduction.
Okay, this is it. We're at the heart of what you need for the exam, the head-to-head comparison of Lamarck versus Darwin. This is where those comparison questions, those table-based questions, all of them come from right here. Understanding these differences is absolutely non-negotiable.
Let's break this down point by point.
First, the basis of change. For Lamarck, it was all about an organism's need. For Darwin, it was about pre-existing variation. The mechanism? Lamarck said it was use and disuse. Darwin said it was natural selection. And here's the big one. Acquired traits. Lamarck said, yes, they're inherited. Darwin said, no way, they're not. And finally, scientific validity. Lamarck's theory? It's been largely rejected. Darwin's theory? Well, with a few updates, it's the foundation of all modern biology. But of course, science didn't just stop with Darwin. There was one huge piece of the puzzle he was missing. He didn't know how those variations popped up or how they were passed on. That's where genetics comes in. And this leads us to the modern version of the theory, often called the synthetic theory or Neo-Darwinism. So what is this modern synthetic theory? Well, think of it as a mashup of the greatest hits. It's the combination of Darwin's theory of natural selection with Gregor Mendel's groundbreaking work on genetics. It explains that the variations Darwin saw are caused by things like mutations in our genes. And it doesn't just look at one animal. It looks at how the genes in an entire population change over time. So this modern theory gives us a whole bunch of drivers for evolution. You've got mutation, which creates totally new gene variations. You've got recombination, which shuffles existing genes around. Then you have things like genetic drift. That's just random chance, especially in small populations. And gene flow, which is genes moving between populations. And of course, overseeing it all, acting on all this variety is the big one, natural selection. Okay, exam time is all about quick recall. So here are your memory tricks. I want you to burn these into your brain. See Darwin? Think variation plus selection. See Lamarck? Think use and disuse. The second you see the word fitness, I want your brain to shout reproduction. And the modern theory? That's easy. Darwin plus Mendel. Got it? These will save you precious seconds. All right, we've covered the theory. Now it's time to put you to the test. Welcome to the CUET practice zone. I'm going to throw 5 questions at you, one by one. I want you to pause the explainer, solve it yourself, and then hit play to check your answer. Let's do this. Question 1. Survival of the fittest refers to what exactly? Go ahead, hit pause, and lock in your answer. Okay, you back? The correct answer is, of course, C, the most reproductively successful organism. Remember what we said. This is the #1 trap. It has nothing to do with strength and everything to do with babies. Question 2. Inheritance of acquired characters was proposed by who? Pause now and think about it. All right, got it? The answer is C, Lamarck. This was his signature idea, the very core of his theory. Darwin, on the other hand, was all about variations you're born with, not ones you acquire. Question 3. The modern synthetic theory includes which of these concepts? Take a second, pause, and choose. Okay, let's see. The correct answer is A, mutation and natural selection. The modern theory is all about where variation comes from, like mutation, and the process that sorts it out, which is natural selection. B and C are pure Lamarck. Question 4. This is a typical comparison question you might see. Which of these statements is actually correct? Pause the explainer, read them carefully. Okay, the only one that's right is C. Darwin's entire theory is based on natural selection acting upon the variations that already exist. The other options are all mixed up, trying to confuse you. And our final question, the assertion reason. Assertion, fitness means reproductive success. Reason, individuals producing more viable offspring contribute more genes. So, are they correct? Does the reason explain the assertion? Pause and figure it out. All right, let's dissect this. The answer is A. The assertion is true, the reason is true, and the reason perfectly explains why the assertion is true. Why does fitness mean reproductive success? Because that's how you pass on your genes. Perfect logic. Okay, let's get serious for a moment. I want you to avoid these 4 common mistakes that I see students make all the time. Number 1, thinking fitness means being the strongest. It doesn't. Number 2, getting Lamarck and Darwin's ideas mixed up in your head. Keep them separate. 3, forgetting that the modern part of the theory is all about genetics. And 4, falling for the idea that things you do in your life can be inherited. They can't. Watch out for these traps. All right, final lightning round revision. Let's make this stick. Darwin equals natural selection. Lamarck equals use and disuse. Fitness equals reproductive success. Modern theory equals mutation plus selection. Got it? Awesome. So how'd you do on the quiz? Drop your score out of 5 in the comments. I'd love to see it. And get ready, because next time we're exploring the actual evidence for evolution. If you're a serious CUET aspirant, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. Let's ace this together. See you in the next one.